We're back, Founding Fathers. Jason Sipple here, and today we're going to explore the fascinating world of money, the evolution from money 1.0, fast forward to money 2.0, and finally introducing you to the game-changing concept of money 3.0. Stay tuned because your financial future depends upon it. Have you ever wondered where the hidden dangers were in our financial system? Today, I'm going to draw the parallel between the disaster, which was the Titanic, and Money 2.0, which we're currently out. And like I said, your financial future depends upon it, as well as the legacy of your family. In the early 20th century, the Titanic faced disaster, much like our financial systems today. So we're going to draw that parallel, and I'm going to walk you through step by step, because as always, we're going to keep things simple with Sipple, and we're going to show you how by just making one small change, just changing where your money goes first and adopting a different mindset, you can avoid the disaster that lies ahead. And that's clear for all of us. So again, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. As always, Founding Fathers is here to teach you about the infinite banking concept. We're here to talk to you about where you're at today and where do you want to go tomorrow, because without a clear plan, without a clear big picture, then we're all headed to the same place. Nowhere. We have no idea where we're going. But through this simple training today, you're going to be one step closer, because right now, by just watching this, you're already in the minority. Most people don't spend time and adopt and feed their most valuable asset. They go out and they just work harder. We just fall into the patterns that are there for all of us. We think it's easier to follow the masses because the masses are doing it. We think that's got to be the easier way. So let's look and go back and show you how history need not repeat itself. We need not sink like that Titanic did. So let's go through this together, have some fun, and just look at where we're heading and why. Our journey through money. It starts in Money 1.0. In Money 1.0, it started with the barter system. The barter system started BC. As I was sitting there in church, I thought, wow, money started like 4,000 years ago, 6,000 BC. That's a long time ago. And why was it started? It was started because we had a need. We had new systems. We were evolving as a community. We were evolving as people. Now, people, if you look at money in the grand scheme of things, we've been around 200,000 years. That's a long time. Not as long as the dinosaurs, but hang in there, because we're going to show you how things are slowly going faster and faster and faster. And as it's happening, we're being dazzled, we're being confused, we're being shown things that really don't work. But if we keep making things simpler together, the Founding Fathers can reestablish ourselves as powerful, protective, and creative. So Money 1.0 was there to serve us. It was a barter system. Like I said, it lasted a couple thousand years, but we're not here to talk about Money 1.0. We're here to talk about Money 2.0 and some of the pitfalls. It's kind of like medicine, which I'm going to draw that parallel as well. So with Money 2.0, it started in the 17th century. It started in England, where the goldsmiths, they controlled God's money, the gold and silver. And these goldsmiths started using notes or receipts to trade, to barter. And that started the banking system. And then people saw, oh, it's a lot easier trading a note. And if I trade the note, the money's still, the gold is still in the bank. I'll just leverage this and I'll use this to trade things. Because remember, money's what? I should pause, go back. Money's what? Go ahead and answer in the chat below. Money is what? Money is nothing more than a means of exchange. Money is nothing more than exchange. It has no intrinsic value. Money is just an exchange for either the goods or the services that we want. And often we need. We don't always need it, but a lot of times we want it and it becomes a need. So that's one of the laws, one of the human laws that we got to watch, which is Parkinson's law. But right now, we're just talking about what is money. Money is nothing more than a means of exchange. So now that we've agreed on that, let's look at a little bit more about how the Federal Reserve System is a little bit like the iceberg. that the Titanic hit, even though, as you're going to see, that story didn't need to end tragically. So now Money 3.0 is about taking back control. It is about privatizing our systems. It's about us empowering each other by learning, as one of the greatest mentors of all time, one of the greatest leaders of all time said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fish. Because if I teach you how to fish, you'll never be hungry versus fishing for you. And I'm going to show you how right now we are, even though we're not aware, we are passengers on the Titanic steaming towards disaster. So let's explore this together. Let's look how we can empower the individual, how we can explore the fascinating and easy world of Money 3.0. So let's go through a few of the historical American money moments first before we talk about the Titanic. So in 1971, Richard Nixon, known as, and I want to explore this a little bit more, learn a little bit more about my man, but he was known as Tricky Dick, and he decided to take us off the gold standard. This is a huge pivotal moment in our current Money 2.0 system. And then from there, in 1978, the big corporations and the government said, wait a minute, people are living longer. They're living much longer today. Like back in the early 20s, our expectancy was around 50 or 60 years. We fast forward to the 70s and 80s, we're starting to live 70 plus years, and we keep getting older. There's more centenarians now, which means you're over 100 than ever before in history, and that trend's going to continue. So the companies understood, wait a minute, if we keep giving these lifelong pensions to people, we're going to go broke. We're going to go bankrupt. We won't be able to provide our goods and services any longer. So Congress made a decision. And Ted Bannett, as you see at the bottom, told CNBC he wishes that what they did with his plan, with his 401k, it wasn't what he intended. He's a fascinating man, but he says, my intention, I'm just paraphrasing, my intention was never to make Wall Street or the government wealthier through this. But what happened is all of a sudden in the late 70s, early 80s, employers slowly transferred all of the risk to the employees, and we became the investors. We became tied to the stock market, and our futures all of a sudden became locked up in money prison. And when we retire, if we retired in a bull market when things are going great, then great, we have the money that we're hoping for. But if something happens in a financial disaster like 2008 or other things that are bound to happen here in the near future, well, you're kind of out of luck. And is that really what you want? Is that really what you want for your kids, for your family, for yourself even? Do you want to put in 20, 30, 40, 50 years of work just to see it evaporate in the market? I don't think so. So that act in 1978 is a huge deal, that Revenue Act of 1978. And then finally, when some of the wealthiest families, and this is Money 3.0, the wealthiest families knew about this for a long time. This has been around longer than our conventional banks. This has been around longer than our tax code that started in 1913. This is not a secret. It was a secret of the wealthiest families, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Stanleys. And we talk about these folks all the time, but it's also known by some of the wealthiest today, whether that's going to be Warren Buffett, who's featured here today in this presentation. Robert Kiyosaki has talked about how profound and how great of a family wealth building tool and multi-generational wealth building tool that this Money 3.0 really is. And it's a philosophy. Remember, this is all going to come back to a strategy, and we'll keep going through. I'm going to show you why historical figures have understood this for centuries. And now I want to empower you to do what the smartest, the brightest have been doing for a long time. So now another big thing that happened is the ERISA Act, the 1988. Because why? The wealthiest families were saying, hey, the government wants us to have our money in these qualified plans. And all of a sudden, we have a silent partner. We didn't sign up for a silent partner. We might not understand that as we plant that seed and that harvest grows. When we go time to harvest, guess what? Uncle Sam's gonna walk in and be like, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? Here's my hand, fill her up," right? And if we look, I've seen a lot of different financial folks present the United States fiscal responsibility as a family and show how they get all of this money and show year after year how they're in the red, and they're going backwards. Go to the usdebtclock.org. It might scare you a little bit. Right now, the us.debtclock.org shows that we're over $34 trillion in debt. In 2026, we're going to be 44 trillion plus in debt. Another $10 trillion in just 2 years, less than 2 years. That is not fiscal responsibility. And so since the government doesn't create, like us entrepreneurs, like us hardworking employees, what does that mean? That means that the money's got to come from somewhere. And this is what Money 3.0 is about. It's about protecting you. It's about showing you a simpler way forward, a more strong, more providing, a more protective way forward. So let's look at what this looks like together. So now with financial icebergs, right, we're going to look at what's happened, and we're going to talk. I'm going to tell you a story about icebergs. I'm going to talk about the Titanic. This is back in 1912. We had so many people board that, of the wealthiest families, kind of the upper class, and they were so excited. This was called the unsinkable ship, right? And as they left Europe and as they steamed towards the Americas, everyone on the ship was excited. The captain was confident. And as they're going towards Newfoundland, remember back in 1912, we didn't have some of the technology we have today. So the captain was so excited. And as he's steaming forward, it is an uncommonly calm night. It is calm waters and a foggy night, and everybody on deck's having the time of their lives. They're dancing, they're singing, they're having the greatest time. Some are sleeping, they're eating, they're talking, they're having a great time with each other in that community. They felt untouchable. They felt like the gods. They felt like nothing could go wrong. And then all of a sudden, one ship contacts the Titanic and they say, "Hey, you guys, you're heading towards an ice field." And they hung up on them. Kind of rude, but okay. They keep steaming ahead, and because it's so calm, they're going faster than usual. They're just steaming ahead faster than usual. And then what happens? Then a guy from California sees them, and he's in the ice field, and he lets them know. He goes ahead and sends the Morse code, and he says, "Hey, you guys are heading towards an ice field that I'm in." And the guy was told by the captain, he said, "Shut up. I'm talking to Cape Race," and he hung up on him. True story. Check the facts. And then you just wait a little bit longer. And then the third part of the disaster is the binoculars were locked up below. And the guy who's a lookout is standing on the bow looking out. And all he can see is about 500 yards ahead because it's a foggy night, but it's super calm. And about 45 minutes before the disaster, he spots the iceberg. And it's only a couple hundred yards away. And they veered and they turned. But we all know how this ends. We all know how this ends. Because they had the warnings. Now imagine, right? Imagine if we just went to World War II. All of a sudden you have new technologies. All of a sudden you have different technologies that would have saved them. It would have gave this Titanic the opportunity to avoid the ice fields, to plot a course around it. Like right now, the chance of sinking in an ice field is almost non-existent because of the new technologies that's available to the captains. But this ship, because they believed they were unsinkable, they believed they were untouchable, they ignored everything because they were going to be okay. Money 2.0 is very much like that. Money 2.0 is like medicine 2.0. Think about the medicine system today. Think about if someone has bad hips and they want to get therapy, but it's going to cost them out of pocket. The only way they get therapy is if they fall down, they get hurt, they break a hip, then they go get medicine, they get treated. We're always reactive to the problem. We're always reactive to what happens. And now that person has therapy. But, if you fall down your 40s, you're good. You're strong. You're able to recover. But if you're in your 60s and 70s, that might be a life sentence. It's also about the quality of our life. What is the quality of your life that you want? Remember, we always have to think about the future. We always have to think about what do we really want? How do we want to live? And it's up to you. It's your life. We only get to do this once. There is no rehearsal. It is a game, but we only get to do this once, folks. So let's keep talking. We went through money 1.0 and money 2.0. I've mentioned a little bit about the strategy of money 3.0, but let's keep going ahead. Founding Fathers, again, it's awesome to have you guys here. Keep learning with me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and make sure that you're getting alerted for the next videos coming out. And you can always learn more and have a discussion with me around how does this Money 3.0 change your family and your family's family and your family's family's future generations by doing just one thing differently. So Sun Tzu in The Art of War said this. He said, tactics without strategy is a noise before defeat. Much of what we're going to see today, much of what I talked about earlier, all of the things coming at you, all of the financial lures, like think about this. Right now, when you go to your mailbox or when you open your phone, how many offers do you have for credit or a credit card at 0%? That is noise. That's a financial trap. That's not a strategy. Or how many of you are offered to refinance your home and just lock back in and keep giving the banks all of that interest? Because why? The banks know that we move about every 7 years. If you've bought your home in the last 7 years, go look at your statement. I guarantee that 70 to 80% of that is interest. Or another financial trap, another thing that is noise today is all of the different offers to make you rich quick. They're going to make you beautiful, make you rich. They're going to take your money and they're going to multiply it for you by 10, 20, 30 times in a little period of time. So it doesn't matter if all the way up to this point, you weren't financially secure, because this is your plan. Just give people your money and they're going to do it for you. Do you know how many people I've talked to have lost all their money doing that? One of my close friends lost a huge portion of her retirement because she felt the pressure in her 50s that she must do something different to create that future. Well, Money 2.0 will do that to you. It's confusing. It's like heading into an ice field and you don't see these giant icebergs and we're crashing into them because we're just hoping someone else is going to save us. But that is not the cure. The cure is taking back radical ownership. The cure is asking yourself better questions. The cure is saying, I wonder what the wealthiest families have done before. I wonder what the wealthiest families are doing today. So let's go through Money 3.0. It's a simple 3 steps that you must implement to avoid the financial failure, the icebergs that are coming. So number 1, you must participate. You must take ownership. You must give yourself knowledge. And that's what you're doing today. One of the things we're going to talk about is if what's happening with the plan in 1978 of Congress to give all of the ownership of retirement over to the people, how's that going? The Social Security Administration is going to show us that 95% of retirees at 67 are financially insecure. They don't have financial security. I'm pretty sure that's a failing grade. That's not even 50%. That's pretty horrendous. So you must participate. You must take ownership. You must empower yourself with knowledge. Do the research. I am not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to show you some of the truth, some of the icebergs that lay out ahead. Number 2, you must get clear about your goals and your outcomes. You must know where do you want to go. And it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. Some people want to be millionaires. Some people want to be billionaires. Some people just want to give back a little bit more to their community. Some people want to go off the grid. Some people want to go live on the beach and just put their feet in the ocean and their butts in the sand. It's okay. Whatever you want, that's perfect. It's what you want, not what someone else wants for you. America is not only the greatest country in the world, it's the greatest marketing in the world. It's the greatest marketing in the world. They have turned us into consumers rather than owners. Jefferson, I think, inaccurately said in the Declaration of Independence, the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, that kind of feels great, but we can be happy today. We can be happy right now. You're happy right here learning something new with me. I'm happy being here with you. I am blessed to be here with you. So it's not a pursuit of happiness. Happy is what we do when we wake up and we're grateful that we're still alive. Our hearts are still beating. Our family's healthy. It's not one day, someday hoping. Make the decision. What do you want? Get clear on your goals. I have other videos talking about this. And then next is like Sun Tzu says above, first you have to have the outcome. What do you want to do? I want to win the war. And then you have to have a strategy. And then you have tactics. It's that simple. Outcome, strategy, tactics. Again, the tactics without the strategy and outcome is just noise. You're just being reactive. You are not at cause. We want you at cause. That is what we're here to talk about today. How do we have you at cause? Like right now, one of the things that our retirement plans like, and I thought this the other day, and I thought this will make sense to people. You ever seen these money machines like that? Have you ever seen when you go in there and all the $100 bills and $10 bills and $50 bills and $20 bills start flying around and people grab them? And some people are really good at it and they walk out and they have a few $1,000s. But some people go in there and they walk out like 10 bucks. That's what our retirement system's like. You don't know what you're going to get. You're basically playing Russian roulette. Now, if you like gambling, cool. Not for me. I don't want to lose any of my hard-earned money in something that I don't know, I don't like, and I don't understand. I want to understand the strategy. And this is why our family has recaptured $3,300 a month that used to go to the banks. And this is something I'll address at the end. What is the path to being a millionaire? What is the path to what you all want? Founding fathers, we all want to feel secure, strong. We want the same thing. We want what? William Wallace said it, the best in Braveheart. We want freedom. So it's got to start with an outcome, a strategy, and then finally the tactics. And like I already mentioned this, but only 5 out of 100 people are going to be financially secure at retirement age. That's from our Social Security Administration. That's ridiculous. Most states, if you look it up, they're already broke. Their retirement system's broke. They're broke. It's not up to someone else to take care of us. Once you understand that, and you're here because you understand that, you want to know what can you do to change it. So you got to ignore the noise offered by the banks, the low interest credit cards. It's a trap. You're going to get trapped. You're going to get trapped by FBA stores, Amazon marketplaces, and other things promising you get rich without doing anything. Remember, it's important how you make the money. Yes, there's ways to create passive income, your money machines, but understand it, research it, have passion about it. If you're just doing it because you think someone else will solve your problems, I got news for you. It's probably not going to work. And then you want to understand how we can start this? It's easy. Take radical ownership. It's like your health. Once you decide you're going to be healthy, you will be healthy. Our decisions happen in what? Does it take a long time to make a decision? No. It happens in a moment. When you decide, you decide. You might research for a while, but when you decide, you decide. So let's talk about how infinite banking works. Let's talk about the machine. And the machine on the next slide, you guys have heard this before. Again, I want to take a much more direct approach with everyone about this. When people see the Money 3.0, they think, well, Jason, how has it been around and used by the wealthiest families? And I haven't heard about it. Well, it's pretty simple what it is. It's just being an owner in a mutually owned, dividend-paying, whole life insurance company. And when I say that, being an owner, what does that mean? It means you're the writer. It means you're the director. It means you're the one that knows what your outcome is, and you're applying to be a partner in this multi-billion-dollar company that hasn't missed a dividend payment. We work with 5 different ones that haven't missed a dividend payment in over 100 years. That means they've been profitable every year. So you go back to the Great Depression, you go back to the dot-com bust, you go back to inflation in the 80s, you go back to the Great Recession, you go back to the current economy right now. It's almost like the genius philosopher Mike Tyson said, you know, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Well, guess what? If you adopt Money 3.0, you're going to have a plan. Mike Tyson ain't going to sneak up on you and knock you out. And so if we're still thinking, Jason, this seems too good to be true. Well, yeah, it does. I thought the same thing. We all think the same thing. But let's go research what Money 2.0 is doing with their money. They're taking it. If you go Google, do this right now after watching this, go Google bank-owned life insurance, BOLI. You're going to find out that since 2013, banks have quadrupled the amount of cash value whole life they have. They're not just giving out suckers, dum-dums, because they think that that's what we want, something sweet. No, they understand that, hey, we're going to put our money in the best financial institutions, the most secure, and it has a lot of facts back behind it. It has a lot of history. It was proponents were the wealthiest families I've already mentioned. So just go look up bank-owned life insurance. That is why, because success leaves clues, that's why we're doing what we do. And then, like as I said, my buddy Warren, who's a proponent of this, I don't really know him. I just like to say that if poor people would just do what rich people do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. Another profound thinker. We're talking about Sun Tzu. We're talking about Warren Buffett. We talked about the Rockefellers. All right, we're talking about just look at what successful people have done and how did they build their generational legacy. They did it with Money 3.0. So now we're close to the end. I'm going to show you the 3 steps in mapping out the millionaire mystery as taught by the Money Multiplier. It's simple. It's going to be first, it's going to be building your wealth, creating that foundation. And the foundation is simply the mutually owned, dividend paying, whole life, cash rich, specially engineered for you. That's a long sentence, but it's all about you and it's about the engineering. It's about what are your goals. It's about having that outcome, building that strategy, and then putting the tactics in place. So number 1 is recapture and recycling all your money in your debt. That's where you start. That's what, because that's a guaranteed debt stacked on a guaranteed policy. Number 2 is keeping all the money in your family. This is buying it, and driving all the cars you'll ever own and making money on your cars. You're going to own 9 or 10 cars in your lifetime. Why not make money on them? I'm going to show you in another training. Like I said, subscribe to the channel, Founding Fathers. I'm going to show you how entrepreneurs can make money with their payroll taxes. I'm going to show you within a few years. Because remember, the first thing we teach with infinite banking is you have to think what? Pop it in the chat. What do you have to do first? You have to think long term. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a financial foundation. Money 3.0 takes practice. It takes knowledge. It takes discipline. It takes action. You got to be like Nike. And finally, how do you keep all that money in your family for everything you buy? And finally, how do you create more wealth by putting your little green men to work? That's the 3rd step. So again, if you've learned something here today, like this video, subscribe to the channel, go to jasonsipple.com, book a free call with me. I will walk you through, help you create your big vision, pull it back to the micro of how you solve that first problem or opportunity, and let's have some fun together. Again, Founding Fathers, blessed that you are here today. Exciting for you to learn about the new concept, not so new, but new to you, of Money 3.0. Let's keep it simple. Let's have some fun, and let's create what you all want, which is freedom.